Before, the first thing I always like to say is, let me say this: if you were in our session before the first session earlier today, about teach me to pray with kids praying, if I repeat something, please do not hold that against me. There were some here that weren't. There's some here now that weren't. And this isn't for you, but what I tell my team is if I say it again, then you must not have got it the first time. That's not for you. That's not for you. That's just for no. So this is about backgrounds and sets and decorating your room, setting the environment, and so that's what we're going to focus on here. Let me start out right here. The most important thing probably that I'm going to say in this whole session, and so please hear this part. There is no substitute for prayer and fasting that brings the anointing into your classroom. What we're going to talk about here is something that adds to that. You cannot say, man, we spent all of this and we've got the best background and we've got the best set design, so this is going to do it. No. First, we have to have prayer and fasting to bring the anointing into that classroom, into that kids service, into that VBS, whatever it is that we're going to make this decorating, what we're going to do this for. You have to, before that happens, you have to have prayer and fasting for the anointing to be able to flow, because that's what's really going to impact the kids. That's not to say we don't need this. We still need this, but I'm trying to help us to understand the most important thing. In fact, at our church, for those of you who maybe don't know, we're a children's pastor at Eastwood in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Brother Merle Ewing, children's pastors for 25 years. So when I talk about my team, stuff like that, that's what I'm referring to. But with our children's ministry team, at the beginning of every year, they signed a contract. Okay, I'm ready to serve for this 1 year, just 1 year. I didn't want a lifetime commitment from them, because sometimes that can be something that, I don't know if I can do that. But on that commitment form that they would sign each year, one of the items that they signed to agree to was that they were going to pray every day for the kids and for the services, and that they were going to fast 1 day a week for the children's ministry. You have to fast another day for yourself, for your own salvation, this fast day. And everyone had to pick a fast day. That's because that is the most important part of any type of children's ministry, Sunday school, or whatever. We have to have prayer and fasting if we're going to expect the anointing to move, if we're going to expect to be effective. Okay? So now we got that clear. Now, but this is necessary. What we're going to talk about today is, in my opinion, very necessary. Now, when everything that I'm going to say, please understand that I'm giving you my opinion, and that is based on more than 40 years in children's ministry, 25 years as children's pastor, evangelizing now full-time for 7 or 8 years now. And what's that? Oh, I'm sorry, over 15 years. The numbers kind of run together. But and so that is where this opinion is coming from. Okay, anything that I tell you, I'm not so foolish as to think that I've got all the answers, or that I'm just giving you what we found that works, things that don't work, that kind of stuff. Okay. Remember the competition that you're up against when we bring those kids into that classroom. 50 years ago, we could have our kids come in and sit in Sunday school, and we could have a flannel graph. Does anybody remember those? And you have the little cutout of Mary and Joseph in the manger, and you stick it up there on the flannel graph and tell your story. And that could hold their attention then. It won't work now. We've got, because the things that we are competing against, Sister Vernon talked about last night, and we've got to educate our families and help them to understand, but the likelihood is we're only going to affect some of them. Some of those kids are still going to be being babysit and taken with these devices and all of that. That is our competition. That's what we're having to go up against. And if you just bring them in and sit them down and say, okay, sit here and listen to me talk, you're not going to have their attention. You're not going to keep them in the, and so these are the things that what we're going to talk about today. This is something that is necessary so that we can draw them in and get their attention and get them connected. Okay. Interesting thing. It always puzzled me. When I was growing up, I got the Holy Ghost when I was 5, so I've grown up in this. And go to Sunday school and sit down, be quiet. Sit down, be quiet, listen. And then we got into the youth group and got into the main sanctuary and stand up and worship God. What are y'all doing sitting there? Well, that's what you've been telling me to do for 15 years. Sit down and be quiet. What do you expect? So bring that into them. Now, let's get our kids involved now. Don't make them come in and sit down and be quiet. Let them be a part. Let them be involved. Let them. That's a side note. That's not about this. I'm sorry. So, a picture is worth 1,000 words. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And so we need to create a picture when those kids come in. Here's the thing. We've got to get, they're there to get a connection with Jesus. They're there for us to introduce them to Jesus, to make a connection. And like I said, that's not going to happen without the anointing in that. But kids will determine if they like what they're coming to, whether it's a classroom or they're gonna like your lesson before you speak one word. By what they see. We have got to have something that is going to engage them and draw them in. You cannot expect them to just sit there and listen to you. The more senses that you engage, the better connected the more they're going to retain of that message, the more connected they're going to be with the message. And I've got to get them connected before I can get some Jesus into them, before they'll listen to me to hear what I have to teach them and to say to them. Okay? A picture's worth 1,000 words. And again, I apologize for those that heard this earlier, but in the Bible, if I ask you what is Jesus, what is God? Oh, he's omniscient, he's omnipresent, he is love. Well, that's true. That's very true. That is true. But I can't see love. If I say love, you maybe see a red heart, or a box of candy, or hopefully maybe a spouse. If I say love, you see that, but you don't actually see love. You don't see omnipresent. You don't see omniscience. The Bible talks about Jesus and says he's the bread of life. Well, I can see bread. He's the great shepherd. I can see that. And so that speaks many more volumes to me, a picture does, than just the words, than the meaning that I can try to put that. If I have a picture to associate it, it connects better with me. It connects better with you. Interesting thing that I read not a few years ago, the Jewish rabbis, they teach that when the children of Israel were following the pillar of cloud during the day and the pillar of fire by night, they were following that. They teach that was the children of Israel following the leg of the shepherd as he led them, because we are like sheep. My goodness, what an image that presents. Oh, he's taking care of me. He's looking out for me. He's right here. And so if we can get a picture across to them, we're gonna connect with them. Okay, so. Now, when you're designing the backdrops, your sets, you're decorating your room, however it is, there's a lot of things that come into this. There's different ways that we've got to think about. Okay, but so let's hit the high level first. First thing is you need to determine your theme. Okay, you need to picture all this first. You need to determine your theme. Now, what do I mean by that? Your theme is what you're going to use as the hook to draw them in. We use dramatized messages a lot, and so with those, it's easy to come up with a theme. But your room needs to have a theme. And let me say this: I recommend not decorating your room and leaving it that way for 5 years while you're in there. That doesn't do any good either, because they get bored. They get seeing the same thing all the time. At least every 3 months you should change your set, your decorating, your rooms. At least, in my opinion. Again, this is my. At least every 3 months you should change it. More often would be even better. But you've got to be able to keep their interest. You say, well, my space is massive, and for me to change it every time, well, change a part of it then. Move stuff around. Take some of what you've built and swap stuff around and things like that. Change it up, but it can't be always the same, because then it will disconnect from them, okay? So, but determine your theme. Maybe you want to go under the sea. Maybe you want to be royalty and have a castle. Maybe you want it to be an island. You want to have pirate theme. You want to determine the theme that you're going to go with. Now, to get that, there's all kinds of ideas on Oriental Trading. Has great themes. You can go in there, and they've actually got themes, and you can go through and see different things. Now, that's not to say that, well, I've got to use all their stuff, but that can give you an idea of where you can go, okay? So the first thing you need to do is determine your theme. Then you need to determine your setting. Now, the setting can be like a time period, it can be a location, or it can be like cartoon-like or realistic. There's so many different things that can go into their setting. Now, what do I mean by that? So I wanted a pirate theme, but I want it set in space. Okay? The more elements, the more depth that you give it, the more interesting and engaging it is. Also, the more fantastical it can be, the more interesting it is. What I mean by that is, if you take elements that don't normally go together and merge them together, then it's like, oh man, that really engages their thought process. The kids are like, oh wow, this is really. One time we did a message series on, and it was pigs. All of our characters were pigs, and they were on the planet Porkloin, and so the pork loins were coined for Pentecostals, and the pork loins got picked at because they wore different stuff, and all of our characters had a pig nose and the pig ears, and but they were on the planet Porkloin, so there was a space involved in there, and so there were all of these different elements that bring it in, give it interest, make it more interesting to the kids and more engaging. It gives more things for their mind to be occupied with, of trying to connect all of these. How does all of this connect together? I don't think that we challenge our kids enough sometimes. Sometimes we bring them in, and if we're just telling them the story, or we're just telling them something from the Bible, there's not enough depth in there. It's just, okay, that's a story. Okay? But what we've got to do is we've got to make it interesting and connect with them, so then they want to engage and they want to find out, well, I want to learn more about this. I want to get my friends to come and find out about this. So the more depth you can bring between your theme and your setting, it makes it more interesting for it. Okay? So I'm anxious to get to some of this stuff, so we're still at the high level. Resources. Oh, I didn't mention this. On the bottom of that handout, there is a QR code for resources that you can scan and go to, except you can't scan and go to that one. When I was checking them this morning to make sure that we want to make sure that they work, something happened, and that QR code is not, it's messed up. So at the end of the class, I have the QR code, the right QR code, or new QR code I created is up here. And so you can scan that, and it'll have all these resources in there that I'm going to talk about, and everything that you can go and download, and for more information that I can give you here. So, but resources for research, in that download, there is one page of resources, and it's got links. It's got for where you can go and get ideas, where you can go and get stuff for your backdrops and things like that. All of that is in there. Let me say that Dollar Tree is a wonderful resource for you to go to because it's inexpensive. And another one is Hobby Lobby. I hate that it seems like maybe they'll bring it back, but they stopped, at least in our location, stopped doing the 40% off discount coupon. And do what? They did it here too, yeah. And that was so discouraging because, man, we used that. We, she'd go and get it, and then I'd go get the other thing, and then we. But Hobby Lobby is a great place. Dollar Tree, Party City, any of your party supply places. These are resources that you can get. However, even coming on more and more refined, and Amazon is picking up a lot. Early on, they didn't have a lot, but they're starting to get more and more of the not crazy, but the things that are good for you when you're trying to come up with these unique and different and interesting parts of your stuff. Let's move on. Paper or plastic? Cheap or expensive? Now, when you're looking at this, cheap, you usually can't save. It doesn't, you're not going to be able to reuse it. It's usually disposable. And so sometimes it's worth it to spend a little bit more money for something that you can reuse, as long as you have storage place to keep what you're going to reuse and things like that. And so early on, well, I can't say early on, but back in the day, we were given a storage place that was upstairs behind the balcony. And so when we would haul walls and props and everything, it was up all the way upstairs and in the room and that. But it was somewhere that we could store. You have to, when you're going to spend a little bit more money, invest so that you can reuse stuff, you're going to have to make sure that you keep in mind that you're going to need somewhere to put that. So, but let's talk about this. So when you're building your set, you can build it. And we'll talk about different ways. Sometimes we need it to be portable. Sometimes it can be semi-portable. And sometimes it can be fixed, depending on your scenario. There are some places that you're in your Sunday school room, and that's your Sunday school room, and you don't share it with anybody else. Well, then you can just, you can put your decorations up and set it, and you're good. There's other times that there are other situations. I don't know everybody's situation here, but you may be in like in here. You're in the gym, and you have to set it up and take it down every service. Or you're in your shared room. You share it with the youth, and on Friday night they're going to have youth service, so you got to take your stuff down. So sometimes it needs to be portable. Sometimes it can be semi-portable. Sometimes you can be fixed. So there's a lot of different elements that draw into there, but in your construction, you can, and we'll go into some of these examples in a little bit, but you can build it without spending a fortune. Let me say it that way, okay? But still be able to reuse it. In that resource page, there's some links that I put in there because we found really nice was paneling from Lowe's or Home Depot that can change your whole scene just by putting a piece of paneling on it, such as it looks like brick, or it looks like the wood paneling, the wood grain stuff, or you can change it that way. We'll see that in a moment. Or we've also used insulation. It's really great. It comes in blue or some silver with white on the other side, and you peel off the little plastic, and then you can paint it. It's lightweight, and it's easy to cut with a razor knife into different shapes and things like that, and to be able to paint it. Again, that's something that you're going to spend a little bit more money on, but it's something that you can reuse, and as long as you've got somewhere to store it. PVC pipe is excellent for using and stuff, and so again, this is all. But then if you don't have the place to store, and you don't have, and you can be a little bit more permanent in your installation. Scene setters are awesome. They're rather inexpensive. I keep saying cheap, and I should say less expensive, because some of it's not, it's not like it's Dollar Tree stuff, but you can get scene setters, and what that is it's a scene printed on plastic, and then you just roll it out, put it up on the wall with some tape or thumbtacks or staples, if they let you do that. thumbtacks and staples. Used to, that was all the time. Now it's a no-no. Yeah, you can't use that. But double stick tape. But you can put up a scene setter, but again, that's less expensive, but it's probably something that you may not be able to reuse because it's going to tear. It's going to, just the wear and tear of it. But it's less expensive. There's links in there for the scene setters also. There are many ways that we can do this in a way. So let's talk about cheap, less expensive, okay? Let's see that. Usually, again, you cannot save that, but let's look at this. Cardboard is a resource that is very handy. It's very inexpensive, most usually free. But we're finding it's harder to come by for some reason. They're wanting to, more of the businesses are recycling, and sending it back and stuff. So sometimes it takes having a friend that works at the appliance store or at the, hardware, lumber store, or whatever, to get, hey, save me some cardboard. But cardboard, usually, a single use, maybe a couple of uses, but then it won't stand up. It won't take, but it's cheap. It's free. Just a heads up. You never know what you can find. We were going to do a VBS. I forget where, but anyway, we get that we show up on. We had to fly wherever we were going, so we couldn't bring a lot of stuff with us. And so we get there, and the pastor's wife are like, "Okay, we need to go get props and stuff," but we waited till you get here so we could go get the right stuff. And so we said, well, Dollar Tree, that's our first stop. We go to Dollar Tree, and we get there, and they had a pallet of cardboard boxes sitting there. I was like, man, hey, well, this is, and so went and said, hey, how much are you selling that, this Dollar Tree? Is it like they were in a bundle of like 10 or 15 boxes all strapped together? It's like, is the whole bundle $1 or is it? And they said, oh no, we were moving the store and these were boxes that we were going to use and we're just going to throw those away. Hey, we'll take them. And so we had all the cardboard that we needed. So it doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't hurt to see if you, and check out and find out. And so, but again, cardboard is usually a single-use type deal. Go ahead. And this was not the best picture, but this is the one that I could find. Underneath this is a cave right here. If you look right here, that cave is made out of paper on a frame of cardboard box. So there's some cardboard boxes stacked up behind that, and then there is paper on that. By the way, all that ivy green stuff you see, that's all from Dollar Tree. Cheap. And that's something that it's inexpensive and you can reuse it. But so let me see the next one. This one will give you a little bit more. This tree right here is made out of paper. Now, this is a roll of paper that you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot, and it's that you lay out on the floor for painting so that it doesn't mess up, and it does great, and it's not that expensive. Now, if you're going to use it for like making this tree, give me the next one, or this rocks, all of these rocks, that's all that paper that was just spray painted, and then put that glitter on it. Again, that paper, we actually reuse it. We'd flatten it out, roll it back up, and reuse it, and it's stored easy and stuff. But it's a less expensive way, but yet you can get, well, I don't know, how can I figure this out? I don't know that I'm creative enough to figure out how to do that. All that is, wrinkling it up and painting it or getting it in the shape that you want it to be. And then, oh yes, I'm sorry, thank you. Paint it first and then wrinkle it up. Yes. Yes. Yeah. She helps me with all the stuff I forget that we learned. But, paint it first. But then you wrinkle it up and it's a less expensive option. But then, as you can see, that was a huge set that we did. And it really took a little bit of work, but it didn't take, it was easy time frame. Do what? I'm sorry, is my laser blinding your eyes? Okay. Let me put that away then. Give me the next one. Now, this is around the frame of that. I can't point to it and show you, apparently. But all of that gray stuff, that is and on the back wall behind there, that is the scene setter that I was telling you about. That's that cheap printed plastic. That was something we could put up there, put it on the wall, use it, take it down, throw it away. Especially because we had to cut it and stuff like that. And then the rest of that, curtains, the banner is made out of cloth, things like that. It doesn't. You don't have to get too crazy with it. You can. It makes it. You can get there. Now, this castle was that was a disposable. No, back up. This castle was a disposable from the scene setters. But then we said we want a castle that we want to be able to reuse it again, because we found out, I don't know, a year and a half later, we need another castle. And so we came up with, go ahead and give me the next castle. This one, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to use it. Right there, you see the white corner right there. That is the PVC pipe. All that is gray material that we laid out, drew the little shapes of the rocks on it, spray painted it, and then put it on that PVC frame. Now, here's the thing. This one is reusable, but it's also portable. So we could set it up, use it, take it down, roll it up, fold it up, put the pieces away. And this was one that we actually started, we were taking it on the road with us, and it was easy to set up, put up the framework and everything, hang the cloth, and not have to spin like that scene setter where if we would use that multiple times, the cost goes beyond what that was. That was a little bit more work, yes, because we had to paint it and everything. But I mean, my goodness, it was reusable. But then you can really go crazy. If you want to spend a little bit more money, go ahead and give me the next one. That is that styrofoam that I was telling you about. As you can see, that's 2 stories. That's a man standing up there. It was a 2-story on the platform of our church. That's not portable by any means. But that was just using that blue insulation, peeling that silver stuff, the plastic stuff off, and then spray painting the brick stuff on there and that. And that it was not as portable. It still wasn't real expensive. It was easy to put up, all the foam and everything. And so and making it that much more interesting that we can. Here's the thing: you can change it up with painting. You can do amazing things with it. HGTV.com is a website that you can go to, and they have painting techniques for doing all of this. How to make stones, how to make it look like brick, how to make it look like wood grain, all the different ways that you can do it. And they even deal with some of the material that you're going to be painting, how to make it, different things that you need to keep in mind when you're doing that. And so that's the resource that you can use. Also, you can go any of your hardware stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, those kinds of places. They have instructional DVDs on how to create these. I think they call it faux painting, FAUX, faux painting, and different ways that you can do to make it look like something that it really isn't. So that one wasn't portable. We do have some. Give me another one. At our church, we had these are semi-portable in that these are wall panels. That's a panel. That's a panel. That's a panel. That's 4 panels right there. Has a door that we could go in and out. Right over here on that end is a window that you could have someone in the back look out through the window and stuff. And again, the design for this is in that resource folder also, how to build those. It's just a sheet of plywood with 2x2 frame, and has a little we had a little hinged kick leg on each panel. And the thing is each panel, we could one time set it up this way, and then the next time have the door in this space if we wanted it, or in this space, and because we could put them together in a different sequence and everything. And you just, drill the 2x2s, put a bolt through them so that they all stay standing up. On the back side, we have a little, again, all of this is in that document if you decide that in that resource folder, but it had a little leg that hinged off, and it had a nice dowel rod hooked to it, and then we just put a weight on it, like the dumbbell weights things. You could get those at Goodwill real cheap right now, because everybody bought them for the new year, for their new resolution. By now, they've given up on it. It's at Goodwill, so but a nice weight, or a sandbag will work, something like that, but so that the walls stay up. So the thing is once you build it, now it's a little bit more investment, especially in time and building it and everything. But once it's built, you can change your set without having to rebuild these walls again. Okay, and you say, well, yeah, but what if I want? Give me the next slide. These are the same 4 panels, painted different stuff hanging on them. That's the same window, the same door, just different stuff on it, and we have a whole different scene, but yet we're reusing these same panels, these same walls that you can, and so semi-portable. I mean, it's something that we were able to, it was when we had a space where we could set it up and leave it week to week to week. And so absolutely wonderful. Well, we can't travel on the road with 4x8 panels of wood, 6 or 8 of them like that. And so now we've gone to these types, because when now this is just us, because we're traveling from church to church. This may be something that you need to do if you're in a shared space and you're having to take down every week or whatever. What you see right here on the platform, this stand right here. This is, and there, in that resource folder, there's a setup for that. The stand we got on Amazon, and it goes up in about 15 or 20 minutes, and so you can set it up before your class is going to start. Yep, and you can take it down after service or after your Sunday school or whatever. So if you're in a shared space, this is a great resource to have. This backdrop is actually just a printed fabric. It's a piece of fabric that we have the picture printed on it. And again, in that resource folder, all of this is in there. Where do we find the pictures? What kind of pictures do you want to use? Where do you get it printed? And then go ahead, go around. You can have different scenes and different sets, so that, again, it's easy to change. It goes up and down. We've got, I don't know, a bunch of these pictures of these different backdrops that we can change out and switch them out for depending on which scene we're wanting to go with and what we're trying to do. Now, this one is fully portable. Take up, take down, move around, and it's a little bit more investment, not as bad as you would think. Excuse me. Yes, correct. It packs well too. It doesn't take a lot of space. I mean, we fly with this thing, so it doesn't take a lot of space. But the framework and everything like that. The stand is a $65 investment. We have a couple of them, so that's a one-time deal. And then each of the backdrop, the banner, the fabric itself is about $100 or $120, depending on when you get it. And so, yes, ma'am. Bungee cords. In that, and again, in that document, it's got when you order it, we get it with the little grommets. They put it in there for us. It's already in there. We just put a little bungee cord on it and hang it up. Bungee cord you get at Walmart, 10 for $5 or something like that. And so it's a little bit of expense, but it's something that you can reuse. It's portable. It goes up and down easy. I would just recommend that when you do your scene, don't get too specific. In other words, I wouldn't want to print that scene with all of that mystery ink and all that stuff. I wouldn't want to print that on the document because then I'm locked into it. A more generic scene like a desert scene with trees and the house scene where you can then change. You can change it by adding the other stuff in front of it. Or wait, stuff in front of it. Yeah, that's the next part. Depth. It's not enough to just have a wall there that's decorated. You have to have depth to your set, to your backdrop, to your decorations. It can't be one-dimensional. If you look up there, you see there's a couch, there's a table, there's stuff in, it's not just, even on that wall, there's stuff hanging. Go back one picture. On that wall, there was stuff hanging on the wall. There's stuff in front of it. You can't just have a flat, any of these pictures that you've seen, none of it can't be just that front, that flat wall set. You have to have more depth to your decorations. You have to have more depth to your scenes and your backdrops to keep their interest, to make it interesting. So windows, doors, lights. You think of when you walk in your house, you wouldn't, you've got all kind of stuff in your house. Excuse me. If you go in and you've got a couch and a chair in the living room, well, that's functional. But that's not what you have a plant in the corner. You have a picture on the wall. You've got this. That's what makes it more home, more interesting, more inhabitable. Is all of this other stuff, not just the function of what you need to sit, to live, you want this other stuff. Kids need that as well. And so you've got to have a depth in there. Go ahead up. Let's see. I forget what it is. There's more depth to you. That's some of that blue styrofoam stuff, and there's pipes that you see there. That's just that was tubes that we got from the paper mill nearby, that leftover tubes that they just give away. Give me that wasn't the one I thought. Another one? Yeah. Three-dimensional. Remember the castle we saw? Well, it wasn't enough just to have that big old huge castle there. We needed something in front of it. We needed more depth to it. And so that's just one of those little pop-up tents that you can get and that someone had at their house, and throw it up, put a table under it. We have Circle K, medieval Circle K. But you've got to have, you can't just have a flat deck, you can have the best painting and everything, but there needs to be more depth to it. There needs to be more, and that goes with all of your sets, whether it's using the scene setters or the foam, the portable backdrop, the walls, whatever type it is, you still have to have this depth. Even with these fully portable, nice printed things. Let me see that next picture. We have depth. As you can see, this is one of those this is from this year. That's one of those scenes, and this is one of those scenes, just like this. That's one there. That's one. You can see the poles right there, barely. But look at all the stuff that's in front of there: a table, a chair, a side table, lamp, teapot, another chair over here, papers, and you've got to have depth to your set to create the interest. Now, here's the thing: that is also what helps you so that your expense you can reuse. Like I said about using this desert scene, making it a generic, nice little desert scene that we can put stuff in front of it, and we can then change it, and we can make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit, we can, and change so that it's not just the same thing, and it's adding, at the same time, adding the depth and adding the character to help it to have something to interact with. Now, when I talk about interacting with it, whether you're a Sunday school teacher or you have a drama team or something like that, the set is only what they look at when they first get in. Okay, that kind of grabs their attention. Okay, hey, this looks interesting. What is this going to be about? Oh man, this is going to be cool. We also found that, I didn't say that earlier, but we also found that if we would change something a little bit, that helped engage even better. what comes to mind is not, I don't know, 2 years ago maybe, we did a caveman. We had a caveman theme, and we had dinosaur eggs on the platform. Well, every service, there was a different number of them. And in the first service, I was like, okay, how many dinosaurs do you see up here? I said that wrong. I said eggs. But how many dinosaurs do you see up here? And we had a blow-up dinosaur over here and a blow-up dinosaur there. And so they would count the dinosaurs. We also had dinosaur eggs. And so I was like, oh, you missed. That's a dinosaur right there. It's just not born yet, but it's a dinosaur already. You know what? When you were still in your mama's tummy, you were already a little boy or a little girl. Just because you weren't born didn't mean you were already a little boy or a little girl. Man, it was a great teaching opportunity. But also, then the next time we had a different number. The next service we had a different number. Well, they come in, they're engaged. Oh, I got to count it, you know. And so then it's like, oh, don't forget, we got to count for the eggs too, because those are dinosaurs too. And so, but change it up. Do something different every time that it gets them engaged. And in that first Sunday or that first service or Sunday school class where you have that scene set up that first time, then you're going to want to introduce that to them so that when they come in the next time, they're looking for that. Oh, you know, how many dinosaurs do you see? Oh, look, there's that one, that one, that one, that one. Now I know the next time I come in, I'm already engaged. I'm counting. I'm looking. What is this? How do I? And so then that way we're keeping them engaged without having to change the set as often and as much, and you understand. And also still having teaching opportunities. There's always something that you can take and use to do that. Like I said with where you didn't count the egg, it was already, just like you were already a baby even though you weren't born yet. I loved what Sister Vernon said last night about taking a stand, and don't be afraid of the difficult subjects. We don't need to tiptoe around whether abortion is wrong, because our kids are hearing that it's okay, and we need to address that. Like she talked about the gender issues that our kids are fighting with. We need to address that. We can do it in love. We can do it in kindness and without making everybody else look bad and evil. And if you tell them something, tell them don't go tell that friend. You know, don't start a fight with them over But we need to take that stand. We need to make sure that, because we're the ones that can. Don't tiptoe around those kinds of things, but look for those teaching opportunities so that and you can incorporate that and use that by changing something in the set, drawing their attention in, but at the same time, look at how you can incorporate that into another lesson in there. Every element that you have in your backdrop, in your set, in your decorations, if you wear costumes, if you if you play a game, every activity that you do, everything needs to have some point of teaching to it. Do not waste. We've only got an hour and maybe an hour and a half with them. We need to use every bit of that in teaching. If you're playing a game, teach them while we're playing the game. Make it fun. Oh, yeah, it's great. But they need to be learning something from that. If it's just sometimes you don't win, try harder next time. We do not play games where everybody's a winner. There's always a winner and there's always a loser. I think that that's something that our society has lost, and that's something that we need to. They need that life lesson. They need to learn that. Hey, I need to work harder. Because if they don't do what they're supposed to do, they're going to be lost. Not just lose, they're going to be lost. And so we've got to. And so every element of your service, every bit of it needs to be teaching and engaging and connecting with them, and something that they can learn from. I think we're there. Is there any questions? I do have a couple minutes. How about that? I do have a couple minutes. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we sewed it. It was just fabric from Joann's Fabrics, and Sister Merriman sewed it. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Walmart. Let me let her talk. Very good. Yes, sir. Yes, we have seen that done, absolutely. And that's a good point. We use a backdrop because we're in a different church, in a different setting every time. And so, yes, but absolutely. You don't need the framework. Absolutely. You can just take it and get it printed and then put on the wall. Very good point. Thank you. Yes. Uh, Thank you. Remind me because I need to put that in that resource sheet. Uh, when you go to Shutterstock, it's in that resource sheet. That's where we get our pictures from, Shutterstock.com, and it's like it's about, I think it's $20 for 5 pictures or something like that. But they are top-notch pictures. But when you find a picture that you like, you can click on artist, and you can find other pictures that are similar to that one. So that if you like a lot of our sets, we have multiple panels. I'm trying to think of the word for it. We have multiple panels. Well, then we need the same. We want it to look the same, and so you can get the same artist to get different pictures where they did the same type of picture, but it looks different. You know, am I being clear? And so then that way you can utilize but just click on the same artist and it'll show you those. And let me say this: when you do that, you want to get the highest resolution, because you keep in mind your picture may look good on your computer screen, but when you blow it up 8 foot by 8 foot, it's really got to have a serious resolution. But I have all that in that file. You want to use a PNG type file, and the highest resolution that they can get. Usually we're in the 5,000 to 7,000, 5,000 by 7,000 pixels, something like that. I mean, it's pretty high resolution. But Shutterstock has those, and so it's very helpful when you're going to blow it up like this, so that it doesn't have pixels. We had one set that came in that we couldn't use because it was all these. You could see all the pixels, and it was like. And it must have been their off day, because normally they catch it. The people that print these for us, they catch it, and they'll send me an email, hey, this isn't going to look too good. Someone missed it that time, and it came in, it was like, oh, well, that's a paint drop cloth. An expensive one, but extra blanket when it's cold. Any other questions? This is good. Comments? Yes, ma'am. Okay, so for curtains, we've used. You can get wire. You can get this wire rope from like Lowe's or Home Depot, and you can put a hook in that wall and a hook in that one, and you latch it on this end, stretch it across. It's called a turnbuckle that you put in there, and then because you can only get by hand, you can only get it so tight, and then it'll sag. So you get that turnbuckle and put it in there, and then the turnbuckle it's got a thing that you turn and it tightens it up, and then you can hang your curtain on there. And thank you for that. That's an excellent thing that we use too, because there was one scenario where we didn't have time to take down and put up, and so we just hung the curtain thing and then took the cloth backdrop, hung it on the thing, and then it was like, I mean, I'm talking we had like 10 minutes before the next people were coming in, and so we would just take it, push it to the wall, push the curtains to the wall, pick up our stuff that was in front, move it over to the side. In just a couple of minutes, we were able to, but then the next week, slide it back over and pull it in. So, yeah, that works, that worked well for us. So, very good. This is awesome. Any other questions, comments? This is the first time that I haven't felt rushed to finish. This is a nice feeling to actually be done on time and be like, oh, I didn't cover everything. Oh, my goodness. So for those of you that if you need that QR code, I have it. The correct one is on here, or not correct one, the new one is on here. And so you can come up and You can scan it. What I would recommend is take a picture of it, because if you scan it right now, you know, you may not be able to want to download it on your phone or whatever. You can just scan it and then, or take a picture of it, and then you'll be able to scan it later if you would like. So, and here's the thing with the link. As we add more stuff, it's not a link to a document. It's a link to a folder. So she just gave me an idea. I'm going to go in and edit and add some more things in there, so you can, you know, if you check it, get today, and then maybe next week you may want to go and check again as I add more things, more ideas and things like that that'll be in that folder for you to be able to access and to get. We have our business card is up here. If you have any other questions or comments or anything, you're welcome to take that, email, text, call. We're available to help you in any way that we can. Thank you so much. I hope that something I've said has helped at least a little bit for each of us, okay? And thank you very much.